I haven't read the book myself, but I know that the essence of the story, as you said, is still there. A bit of changes. So why are changes sometimes necessary for the big screen for it to work? Adding characters, removing characters, twisting it a bit.
Well, if you didn't, we would probably still be sitting here after the premiere last night watching the rest of the film, because it's a fairly leafy tome. So immediately choices have to be made to make it work for a 2-hour film, and it's fascinating, the process of discovering which things absolutely have to stay there, either because they tell you something really crucial about a character, or because structurally for the story they have to be there, or because they've become iconic to the fans of the book. So if any of the things fell into those categories, we knew they had to stay. There are some really important moments that if they weren't there, the fans would just simply, be in uproar. But once you've kind of got those markers in place, you then can begin to play with what the film needs in order to tell the story. And, there were some things so there are some crucial plot points, one in particular that wasn't in the script that I first read, and it was one of my first questions. Why isn't this in? It's a really important thing. And we tried several times to put it in very different ways, flashback, reality, like in a drip, drip, drip sense. But every time we put it in, it just completely changed the leading character and actually what the story was really about. It was absolutely fascinating. And the minute you took it out, the balance came back. So we knew, for example, that actually that couldn't be in there. But so long as the reason for why it's in the book in the first place is represented in the film, then I believe we got the best of both worlds. And similarly, there are other aspects to do with secondary characters, for example. In the book, Will has a sister.
Exactly.
And she's not very present. She's in Australia for most of the time. She appears for a very crucial, revealing moment, and then she's there right at the end. And it just felt, when we looked at it visually, that she as a character didn't really earn her place at the end. And actually, when we looked at the reveal, it meant more to me if the reveal could be made by people who we already had a relationship with, i.e. the parents. So, it's things like that in a book can really earn its place, but in a film, it can't.
No, absolutely. Well, the face value of the story is very quintessentially English, but it does resonate internationally everywhere. Is it because of the love story? Is it because of the circumstances of the characters? What makes it so relatable in your book?
I think it's exactly that. I think the essence of the love story is so simple, and it's very traditional in many ways, so it's incredibly accessible, I think, to everybody. And I think on top of that, the very, very Englishness of it is very appealing to non-English people, which is one of the reasons why it was so important that we set it in England, that the characters remained as English as they are, and that we really represented the class system as we have it, which is much stronger here than I still think it is in just about everywhere else in the world.
Emilia and Sam have such a strong fan base coming from the projects they've been in before. Was it felt during shooting, or were you guys in a completely different bubble?
Well, it was felt in the sense that we had, crazy fans who tracked us down wherever we were. But, neither of them in any way physically looked like the characters that we've got very used to them looking like. So, there was no question that it was Emilia Clarke. And the other thing about Emilia is the difference between Emilia Clarke and Lou Clarke is like paper thin.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much of the character she brings naturally.
Whereas with Khaleesi, it's
so
distant.
I mean, when I go back and watch that now, I'm amazed that, and also I'm so proud of her that she's you know, she's established herself as something so far removed from herself. And now I hope that one of the things this film brings is, you know, the world gets to see just how much range she has. And the same with Sam.
Yeah, and I think both of them contributed to the tone of the film, which was very important to telling the story, basically, in a heartwarming and yet humorous way.
Humorous. Well, the humour actually was the thing that Jojo and I worked on the most, to make sure that we had that balance, absolutely. And, you know, Sam and Amelia bring that effortlessly, that is for sure.